All right, here we go. Once again, we're all here. We've all got our tea, I'm assuming, and we're here to do some deep work. I'm here to share a bit more about what's going on for me, a bit more about what I've been implementing, a bit more about how being able to access different levels of insight and how you can do the same as well. But as always, let's just take some time to breathe, take some time to get present, take some time to just be in the moment. One way in which I love to do this is to remind myself of certain truths. So, for example, we are always, or the vast majority of us are in the story of when I get there, I'll be happy. And we're always focused on when I get that, when I achieve this, when this happens. But can you, when you breathe, can you remind yourself of the truth that everything you're going to achieve is awesome, but nothing's better than this moment? Nothing is better than this moment. Nothing is more powerful than this moment because all we have is this moment. So you can think of the house, the relationship, the $1 million, the whatever you want to achieve, and that's all awesome. But who and what you are and this present moment is even more awesome. And this is what you can remind yourself of when you just breathe. When you just breathe right now, you feel the energy around you. You recognize that right now, with this energy right here, is where you manifest anything. All possibilities exist right here, right now. And this is what you can remind yourself of when you breathe, right? When you just get right here, when you focus on the vibrations, the sensations in your body, you start to notice the patterns throughout your day, throughout your week that you might not have noticed before, right? Patterns and stories of when I achieve this, I'll feel this way. I need this to be safe. I need to achieve this to feel enough. I need others to look at me a certain way. I need to push down certain emotions. I need to avoid certain emotions. I need to change the way I feel, because if I change the way I feel, I'll give myself permission to be the way I think I should be rather than just be vulnerable and open with the way I am. These are the patterns you start noticing more and more when you breathe. And you remember this present moment is all we have and it's all we need. It's all we have and it's all we need. So take some time to breathe, feel those vibration sensations. And while you do that, you may also want to pay attention to your heart. Pay attention to this energy, this vitality, this ability you have to love, to give, to serve, to appreciate, to be grateful for. And while you're breathing, remember, you didn't do anything to earn this. That's always important because you didn't have to go and be or do anything in order for you to just have this energy of love, this energy of life. And the more you get into that state, the more you can start to recognize that life is just like a game. Everything that happens out there is an illusion, and it's all there to teach you something. It's all there to allow you to grow. Just a game of love, a game of service, a game of play. When you remember that, you can start to tap into how much you can play, and how much you can just observe your life rather than be in the effect of it. So let's get a little poll of the room going on here. Let's, when you remember who and what you are in terms of the love and your heart and life in this present moment, what is it that you're feeling? Just type in the chat box, see what's coming up for you guys. Would you say that competition is an illusion? Sure. Competition's an illusion because we're all one anyway. This is just my perspective. The illusion of everything always exists. So Kim says grateful. Kim, if you want, you can set your chat to all panelists and attendees, so that if you want everyone to see your messages. At peace. Awesome. Bram's grateful. What else, guys? What else in the chat? Let's have a little bit of a interaction. For me, what comes up is just a lot of connection. A lot of connection comes through. I feel curious. Awesome. And connection. Great. Relaxed. Beautiful. Yeah. How good's that? Lachlan says, when I feel like I am tapped into that, I feel like I am as I should be. Exactly. Exactly. How much of a truth is that? Everyone thinks I need to be this sort of thing, so that's what I need to do. But when you breathe, you get present, you tap into your heart, this energy, you remember, I am exactly who I'm meant to be in this present moment. And how do I know that? Because I am. You can just drop so much weight off of yourself when you can remind yourself, right now, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, and I'm exactly who I should be. I'm feeling exactly how I'm meant to feel. I'm exactly in the right circumstance, exactly in the right situation. Why? Because I am. And just a simplicity. Enjoy loving all the very simple things. Sunshine, etc. Yeah, totally. Totally. I can even enjoy my ginger beard in this state. That's because I love my ginger beard in all states. Beautiful. Now, here's the key. You are feeling this way, but I want to remind you that nothing externally changed. Nothing externally changed in your environment or circumstances or relationship or money or status, but you radically shifted the way you feel. Right? You radically shifted the way you feel. Why is that? Because how you feel and the mental and emotional state that you have is not determined by your circumstances. It's not determined by your external environment. It's determined from what comes within. And what I do with clients all of the time is teaching them the factors of the 3 triad factors that make up your mental and emotional state, which is 1, your focus, 2, your internal language, and 3, your physiology, which is how you move and use your body. Right? So when you were focusing on your heart, you shifted your focus. No doubt when you shifted your focus, you were shifting the things you were telling yourself, right? Which is why I had a little bit of a dialogue there. But also, you shifted your physiology, how you moved and used your body in that moment in terms of relaxing, in terms of breathing, in terms of your posture, maybe even your gestures shifted, which allowed you to reach this mental and emotional state. And if you can do it right here, right now, and remind yourself that it's not from your external circumstances, then you can bring these emotional states of peace and love and joy and relaxation and connection no matter what's happening around you. So just think that in while I make sure that everyone, so I've got a few more people jumping on here, which is awesome. But I just want to make sure that the link is to everyone. Hello, Wendy. Everyone's jumping on here, so I just want to take some time to say hi. Make sure your chat's set to all panelists and attendees. If you do want to have your messages shared with the group, it's by default, it's set to all panelists. I'm not too sure why. We have Kim, Kayla, Wendy, Jennifer Forster, Hannah, David. How are we, guys? Good to see you all. We've got a really, really cool crew, really cool gathering of people here. And obviously you guys know this is the same day, same time each week. And we dive in deep, and I just not only bring on people to coach if they're open to it, but also to just share what's going on in my life. And you can take this time to create these shifts within your life. Just a week, just an hour out of your week, just to breathe, just to get centered, just to do the inner work, because we all know how important that is. So I love the fact that you guys have put this in your calendars and just set those reminders each week. And same, a lot of you are jumping on the serving circle, the collaborative calls, which were same time, but yesterday each week. That's awesome. So many cool connections are being made in there. So many business collaborations just from the heart, just being able to serve. It's been such a cool environment. So thanks so much for everyone who's engaged with that. One thing I wanted to raise some awareness to is a lot of you have seen in my videos and in my posts is a certain theme coming out. One second. There's a certain theme that I've been implementing, that I've really, really been applying in my life, that I know creates such a huge shift for people. And that is when you separate yourself from the outcome. I'm going to describe this in a little bit of a different way than what I did in my post and in my video. But there's certain steps you can walk through that allow you to really tap into this divine energy, synchronicities, right? Serendipities, where things just flow into your life, where you know the things that happen are for your highest good. And so here are the steps. One, to visualize what you want with clarity. And why do you want to do it with clarity? And why do you want to visualize it and imagine yourself in that scenario? It's to elicit the emotion or the mental and emotional state of already achieving it, right? So you have your visualization. We all know how to do that, right? Manifestation 101, NLP 101. Imagine yourself in the situation so that you can elicit the state, right, of what Wayne Dyer says, just basically feel the way you would feel with your wishes fulfilled, right? It's how you would feel and the mental and emotional state you would be in if that was to already be your life, right? This is preaching to the choir here, but this is really, really important, especially for the next step, which isn't so well known and so well practiced. And that is that once you elicit the state, like you guys were saying, gratitude, connection, love, joy, right? Peace. Once you have that mental and emotional state, what you're going to want to do is drop the visualization, drop all expectation, and know whatever happens next is happening for your highest good. This is tough for a lot of people, and I'll explain why. Because this needs to be done wholeheartedly. In order for these basic principles to work, it needs to be done full out. It's not a half game thing. It's not like I'll allow this, but I won't allow this, and then all of a sudden things will pan out. Right? So for example, if you reach the state of love and you're in the state of love and you feel it day in, day out, and then someone you love leaves you, what do you feel then? This is key. Do you say, oh my God, that state, that mental, emotional state didn't work? Or do you trust and believe wholeheartedly that no matter what happens is happening for your highest good, even if your mind can't see why? This is so important. If you have the abundance, if you feel abundant in terms of resources, income, relationships, love, and then all of a sudden you lose 20 grand. Do you say, oh my God, that state didn't work. I'm not manifesting right. I need to do something different. I need to shift. Or do you say there's a lesson in that? There is a lesson in here I'm meant to learn so that I can access this more often. I can allow myself to live this way more often. Because one thing I know for sure, if you want to feel abundance and live from that state, you need to learn the lesson that who and what you are is abundant. And it's not determined by what you do or don't get. And this is the lesson a lot of us are learning. This is the lesson, the like collective lesson of the universe I'm finding, is that the universe is teaching us who and what we really are. And in order to do that, in order to truly learn the lesson, we often have to lose the very thing that we think we need. Right? Because when we lose the thing that our ego or our mind thinks we need, and we realize we're just fine without it, that's when we can start actually realizing who and what we are. So it's operating from that knowing that no matter what happens, whether I expect it or whether I don't, it's happening for your highest good. So these are the steps. One is to do the visualization, right? 2, you're visualizing so that you can access that emotional state that you want to feel more often. 3, drop all expectation. All expectation. Whether you think it should or shouldn't happen. And then 4 is to receive the gifts of anything that happens. Receive these gifts, there's benefits, there's insights in anything that happens if you're looking for it. And you'll learn the lessons you're meant to learn. But you can feel that mental and emotional state regardless of what happens externally. But here's the cool thing. What I've allowed myself to separate is the emotion and the state. A lot of people start to combine it, but this is sort of how I've imagined it in the recent meditations I've done. You can allow yourself to feel sad, frustrated, angry, whatever it may be, whatever those 5-year-olds are coming up to be felt, to be seen, to be heard. You can feel those emotions while remaining in an overall mental and emotional state of awe, of love, of curiosity, right? I do this all the time. I'll feel like this frustration or this sadness, and I will feel it fully. I will notice and love that internal 5-year-old while also holding a space of curiosity, right? While also holding a space of safety, of love, right? Of wonder. So right now, can you guys do that? What's the mental and emotional state you were eliciting before when you're focusing on your heart, when you're focusing on love, when you're focusing on the energy of life? Can you feel this mental and emotional state? Imagine yourself feeling this mental and emotional state, regardless of what happens outside of you. Imagine your worst fear coming true, or losing something that matters to your ego, and then feeling the frustration or the doubt or the whatever 5-year-old comes up for you, and still, while you're feeling frustrated, hold an emotional state of love. Are you following? Is everyone following? I have no clue if anyone's following. Chris says that could mean the person who left is probably not the same vibration. Totally. Yeah. Love, a state of love, has been described by spiritual teachers, is a state of action, which means when you feel love, you will attract and repel. right? When you feel love, you'll attract the things that are that vibration and repel others that aren't. Those are the things when you're just in a state of love. So who's following me here? Maybe type in yes or one, whatever you like. If you're following along with this, I want to make sure, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys do have, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability, because I'm going through this with you guys. Trust me. Randy says, yes, I've been living that my whole life. Andrew says, tend to hold a state of acceptance. Awesome. Yeah, totally. I could feel, Wendy says, I could feel sad by events, but still feel content. Yeah, and peaceful. Awesome. So love is, to my knowledge at the moment, knowledge is love is a state of being, that's very that carries with it a lot of movement. Right? So things will happen when you have that state of love. Who says, when I focus on love, my husband comes to mind. I think I should realize that I don't own him. Yeah. I should just enjoy him without all the expectations. Love, true love, is unconditional, right? Unconditional as they are. As they are. Doesn't mean they need to shift the way I think they should shift in order for me to love them. True love, true unconditional love is I love you for you, right? In all the ways, all the characteristics of what I think should or shouldn't happen, I just love all of it. That's true love. The crazy thing is, when you do that for other people, you do it for yourself. That's the beauty. That's the real beauty of this. So what are we feeling now? Can you feel love, joy, bliss, regardless of what happens around you, knowing that whatever happens externally is doing so to match more of your vibration? It's very hard to see that when you're in the vibration of abundance and you lose a lot of money, it's very hard for your mind to connect those two and say, how the hell does that work? Right? Our mind thinks, here's one way to describe it. Whatever you visualize in terms of, let's say it's money, whatever you visualize, you have to drop that visualization and realize that you don't know what's best for you. Right? I put this in the post on my personal page. But remembering, you don't know your mind, when you're visualizing from your physical mind. So your physical mind can only visualize by what you can imagine, by what you can see, right? But what you can see is not tapped into who and what you are. Generally, what you see is by your small physical mind, which is beautiful. That's just the way it is. But what you can see, you do it to elicit the state. But once you have the state, you have to know that this actual physical thing that I'm visualizing might not be my highest good. And I'm just going to delegate that to the universe. I'm just going to delegate that to something bigger than my physical mind, right? My higher self, my higher mind, to then determine what's best for me, right? For my expansion, right? From that ability to grow and to contribute. This is all just allowing you to grow at deeper levels, love at deeper levels, and serve at deeper levels. But it takes a lot of trust to be able to get those lessons and take them on, like you're saying, with acceptance, with appreciation. Let's see what's going on here. Jennifer Forster. Love. Letting others voluntarily evolve. Yes. How good is that? Letting others voluntarily evolve. Beautiful. Crystal, oh my God, this is key, Tyson. Yes, it is. Thank you. To just get in that state and then let go of the visualization and then put trust in the universe. Totally. That's what the universe is trying to do. It's trying to teach you, let go. I've got this, right? I've got this. Just trust. Think of how much weight will be off your shoulders when you can let go of the story that you know what's best for you. And just trust that no matter what happens, will be in your best interest. But here's the cool thing. The universe isn't just teaching you those lessons through what's called Kensho, which is through pain, right? If you study sort of like Zen Buddhism and those types of Eastern philosophies, you'll get these insights, you'll get these breakthroughs, these heightened levels of awareness and heightened levels of awakening through two things, Kensho and Satori. Kensho is when you get that awakening through pain, right? To truly know who and what you are in your abundance, some things need to happen that your ego doesn't think need to happen, right? Like I explained before. That's Kensho. That's like, I lost a whole bunch of money. I realized I was fine without it. I actually realized that because I lost that money, the universe is trying to give me so much more than what I thought I needed, right? Once I realized who and what I am in abundance, I lost that 10 grand, but because I lost that 10 grand, I gained access to $1 million. And the universe was showing me that lesson. I couldn't see it at the time, but it's showing me that lesson now, right? That's Kensho. Satori is when you have that awakening through just an insight. Some might call it a download, some might call it, a spiritual awakening, but you just get that from within, that insight, that sort of that level of truth just flows through you. That's Satori. What I've started to realize, and I've seen a lot of patterns here, is that when you do the deep inner work and you meditate and feel everything that's coming up and welcome and allow everything like we do every week here, and like a lot of people are doing who are clients of mine or who are in the courses, basically you shift more towards Satori and less away from Kensho. When everyone's in resistance so much, when everyone's in a state of fighting against themselves, the universe, life, generally needs to go to Kensho for you to finally get the lesson, right? But the more you do the deep inner work, the more you allow and welcome, the more the universe says, oh, okay, they've got that lesson. They're willing to feel this. They're willing to feel fully. Let's provide them with more synchronicity, right? More levels of abundance through this insight rather than the pain. Now, neither is good or bad. Neither is, one or the other is not above the other, but both can allow you to reach the levels of awakening that you desire. And what I'm finding is that you're basically allowing yourself to feel that pain without resistance, so life doesn't have to show you that lesson through that means. Not all the time, of course, but just you'll get more and more insight, more and more through Satori when you do this deep inner work. All right, what's everyone saying? The universe will always bring you back to what your core values are. Totally. We traveled Australia with our children and created beautiful memories after we traveled down the road of chasing dollars. Yeah. And the wheels of, okay, we had to move away from our core values of family and freedom. Best lesson ever. Yeah. Cool. I love that. That's a reminder for me as well. Right? What are my values? I'm learning this just alongside you guys. Trust me. I explained on the serving circle, the collaboration call yesterday, that in the last few days, I've just been feeling a lot of levels of frustration, right? A lot of levels of frustration. Now, part of that, I can feel frustrated, but also feel very curious, right? Be in the state of curiosity. Where's this frustration coming from, right? What beliefs am I having? What sides of me do I need to love? What 5-year-old is resisting this circumstance that's allowing me to feel frustrated? Now, here's what my path is starting to look like and what I'm focusing on now. I'm really, really starting to focus on getting specific about a niche. Right, Jen Forster's on here. She knows the same. We're going to jump into James Wedmore's business course, Business by Design. And so I'm going to be heavily focusing on really getting specific about a niche and a specific and allowing myself to create a course and an offer that is really, really aligned with my heart. Now, a lot of you know I've been able to build and grow a business and do this full time. Being able to build the community, and I fall in love with you guys more and more every day. And one thing that will enhance my own clarity, is when I get very, very specific about a niche that I just truly resonate with at my core soul, and be able to share that, right? Be able to share that so that when I know I have someone that I love to coach and I help them get them from A to B, I can share that, and you guys can all help me with that process. And so here's my question I have for myself, is basically, I'm going to be working on my niche and really diving in deep in terms of how I can identify that. What's the energy that's coming from? Is it coming from the energy of, I need my niche so that I can feel safe? I need a niche because that's what everyone else is doing. I need a niche because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to have this, right? Or is it the energy of curiosity, of love, of joy, of saying, man, I'm just curious to dive in deep so I can find a niche that shares more about me, right? That shares more about who and what I am. So when I'm exploring this topic, when I'm doing these exercises, my curiosity is with myself. It's like, who would I fall in love with serving? And who would I fall in love with helping them get from A to B, right? What is it that my soul is pouring out right now? How can I get clear around my purpose, my mission, my passion, right? Obviously, a lot's already coming out. But I can have the curiosity, the love, the patience to just allow that to flow through and get those nuggets and those insights, right, from that state. And a lot of you right now can ask yourself that question as well. Those things that you want and those things that you're after, are you going after them with a state of curiosity, with a state of love, of passion, of service? Or is it like, I need that in order to fill this void within myself? And so that's what I've been really going to ask myself deep on these meditations, saying, are you going after your niche because that's what everyone else is doing? Right? Are you getting clear and more specific about your business because you think you'll feel something else if you do that? You think you'll be somewhere else if you do that? And so that's what I've really, really been meditating on and doing the deep inner work on. So does anyone have any questions? Crystal says, Tyson, are you going to become a psychic or energy healer? I got no clue what's going to happen next, and I love that. Never described myself as a psychic or energy healer, but I would. I'm leaving that open. Definitely leaving that open. Awesome. So hopefully this helps, guys. Hopefully this has triggered some people. Hopefully this has really allowed yourself to ask some more insightful questions, elicit those states of curiosity. It's been really, really cool. If anyone has any questions, if anyone would like to come on and have a chat about anything. If you want to share some wins or share what you're going through or ask me a question, feel free. Let's type in 2 in the chat box if you want to come on live and have a bit of a discussion, have a chat. Let me know. Otherwise, it seems like everyone's getting a lot from this. So Andrea wants to come on. Awesome. I'll put my earphones in. Let's invite you on, shall we? Andrea. Let's do this. When your Zoom catches up, feel free to unmute yourself.
I always forget that the light is not overly conducive.
That's all good. How are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you. How are you? Obviously
Doing well.
Great. You've always got great energy. So
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, this is landing so much for me at the moment, because everything that you're talking about in terms of outside of ourselves and, you know, when we get this, will we feel a certain way, was really my journey last year in the beginning of starting a business. And 2020 and COVID, in a way, actually was the most beautiful gift, because it really gave me the time for a lot of deep introspection and things like that. And I just wanted to be able to share, I really do feel like this has been a download over the last little while, these 5 A's that I really feel are so important for us and can help, like anyone, but also coaches, and awareness. So you talk so much about that awareness of self, awareness of the universe, awareness of the journey, awareness of what gets in our way and what triggers that. So I really feel like any kind of change or development can't actually happen without awareness, straight up. And then we move into acceptance, and exactly what you were talking about before, in terms of being able to hold those 2 states, but actually being able to accept those 2 states. So as much as I can be happy and I can be loving and I can be successful and I can be thoughtful, I can also be sarcastic, I can be defensive, and that acceptance of all of that and the journey. And then moving into alignment, which is something that I wasn't in last year, and knowing that alignment is so key, and alignment comes to our values. So like the little part that I shared in there about, you know, we started chasing money for our retirement, and, you know, life in the future is going to be so amazing, but we moved away from my 2 and my husband's 2 top values, and that is freedom and family. So we actually sacrificed those 2 things for something that was much further down on our values list, and the universe will pull you up on that.
And what does freedom? What does freedom mean to you?
So freedom means to me, freedom of being able to live a life that matches me. So if people had tuned into when I shared, I was a widow at 27 and I'm remarried. So really the deep inner freedom for me was to be able to, my future and the life that I'm living now looks very different to what it would have looked like. And the freedom to be able to follow that, the freedom to be able to be a speaker and a coach and move out of a small country town and travel Australia and leave jobs and financial security, which is not what a lot of mainstream people do. They don't, it's challenging. And to be able to do that, freedom to speak my truth, to be able to speak about the trauma and what I've overcome, when other people sort of do a lot of their healing internally. So freedom to just be me, really. And making sure that I'm in alignment with what my values are, and then my family's values, which meant that we hit the road and traveled. And then after that comes action, because you can have all of those other things, but if you don't take action, then it's kind of pointless. And sometimes that action might be just having a massage because you need to soothe yourself. It might be 2 hours of meditation. It might be reaching out to someone to find the next speaking engagement or the next business step. And then finally, the last day is accountability. And if you don't have accountability within yourself, then what tools and resources do you need to be able to keep yourself accountable? And I don't know, like I've just found like for me, there's almost, it feels like a perfect recipe personally for me in terms of being able to go, okay, so which one of those am I not focusing on, and which one do I need to be able to really harness at the moment, and what is that going to look like to be able to ensure that, you know, we are living a life and we are coming from a place of service, and we are nurturing that ego side of ourselves that can kind of get in the way a little bit, because it really is our 5-year-old self. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like those, especially the first three, create such a foundation, right? Such a foundation in terms of a lot of people can become aware of their patterns, and that just sets a whole nother, whole nother spectrum of their path. Just once they're aware, and then, like you said, acceptance and alignment is are things that people can start to ask themselves those deep questions, right? It's like, am I truly accepting this scenario? The way Eckhart Tolle would describe it, it's sort of like, what's your relationship to this moment, right? Is your relationship to this moment one of an enemy? One thing that is your relationship to this moment one that needs to be fixed, right? Is it something that you think needs to be overcome, right? Or is this your relationship to this moment? Is it like a friend? Is it like a loved one? Is it something that like you say, you truly accept? It's completely different, right? And so once you, I love all the A's, because once you start to get that alignment, then things just start moving forward, right?
Yeah.
The action
And
that
it's
you
alignment to our
do.
values, isn't it? Like that's what I found last year. I've never run a business before, you know, as a hairdresser and a teacher, and this was new territory. I feel like I'm good at what I do, but in terms of promoting that as a business, I know that that was where I was like, oh, that's where my ego would flare up. And it was recognizing that was because I wasn't aligning, like what you're doing, Tyson, this collaboration, this how can we serve each other? How can I do something that helps support you? And how can you do something that supports the next person, and that paying it forward? That is what I'm aligned with. That is the energy of which I want to be able to live my life and create my business and moving forward. But not knowing anything different, you know, I went into business coaching that was all about self and how do I get to that end goal, and didn't realize that the frustration was purely because that's not my value system. I'm not saying that money's not important, and I'm not saying that money doesn't give us amazing choices and allows us to support lots of people. But fundamentally, I have values that are higher up than that for me. That's just for me. And so following a system that puts that at the top is never going to work. And it may work for some people for a period of time, but if it is not their value, at some time that will crush, you know, that will fall in, because we will always be guided back to what we value most.
Mm. Yeah, one question I've been asking myself a lot is, are you being your true self in this moment, or how can you be more of your true self in this moment? And that's something, it's a question that always brings me back to, like you say, your values and what feels authentic, right? And so if I'm on if someone's signing up to my coaching programs, or I'm putting out a bit of content, or I'm doing a coaching session, whatever it may be, I'm always asking myself, I'm like, what just feels aligned? What feels like my authentic self? Sometimes that might be frustration and crying, and sometimes it might be exercising and looking after myself, and sometimes it might be meditating and doing some deep inner work and all those different things. But like you said, if I'm not being my authentic self, if I'm not being my true raw self, and I continue on that path, then it'll just crumble, because life's always trying to teach you lessons that lead you more to who and what you are. And that's just what I found. What are some things that you've been able to implement that gives you more of your values around freedom and family?
Yeah. So obviously the number one thing that we did, because 2015 was a pretty interesting year on that front, and that was to actually say what are our dreams and what are we actioning to put them in place. So traveling Australia for 8 months with our kids in a caravan, that really connected us. And then at the start of last year, we went back to Victoria, but we left Victoria knowing that that wasn't where we were meant to be settling, and we had no jobs, no house, no idea. We just knew we were going to the sunny coast, and that we would trust that everything would work itself out and fall into place. So being able to take that action of moving and just going, my husband trusts me, which is really good, and I trusted my gut instinct of we will find. And where we are at the moment, I've got journals that basically specifically match the way where we are at the moment that I wrote 6 years ago. So in terms of manifesting and stuff like that, and just freedom to be able to, I guess, show up on social media and all of those avenues of building a business, that it comes back to what do I feel. And that I follow human design is another tool that I'm really leaning into, really understanding the way I am designed to show up in this world and what my gifts really are and how they are meant to be used so that I can help create an impact and help support other people and, you know, be of service, I guess. So yeah, tapping, you know, lots of holistic stuff that I do to nurture myself so that I can trust in my intuition, because I can sense things pretty strongly when I'm doing the right nurturing things and holding the ego sort of at a dull roar in the background there. So yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people are at. I guess one thing that is unique, or I shouldn't say unique, but what's inspiring about your story is that you followed through with that trust. A lot of people think they have this level of trust, but one thing you can really gauge yourself on is you can tell yourself the story like, okay, I trust what's meant to happen. What do you feel when that actually does happen, right? What do you feel like? For example, when I created the serving circle and people started to collaborate and do those sort of different things, I had the belief like, man, I'm just going to create this environment, create this, this hub of people to just create connections and build their businesses. And I was going by the Wayne Dyer quote, whatever you want for yourself, want it more for others than you do for yourself. And so I'm like, I want my connections and to grow my business and to gain clarity. I'm like, let me provide an environment for people where they can do that. And I focus more on that for them than for myself. And so that was the project, and I've just been loving it. The key is when someone comes back to me and says, I created this collaboration, I got this amount of clients, this person signed up to my program and all those different things. What am I going to feel? Right? Whatever I feel is going to give me the indication of what I actually believe. And same when people, they could be like, yeah, I'm willing to lose this money. I'm willing to lose these amount of clients or get this amount of ridicule and judgment. But what do you feel when that actually does happen? That's really the indication of your actual belief. So I've been noticing different beliefs within myself around that. But one thing, that's why it's really, really key. One thing I'd ask you is, what do you also believe that allowed you to follow through with that knowing? So you don't only just know and trust that things are going to work out. You actually took action and traveled around Australia for 8 months just on this knowing. Was there anything else that you believed, or anything you would give someone as guidance as to how they can follow through with that knowledge?
That is such a good question, Tyson. I probably will put it down to my life experiences. Like when I shared, you know, my first son was born with cancer, and then 3 years later I lost my husband. So like life has shown me that I don't have control. Now my ego will try to make me believe that I can control things. But really when I nurture myself, so and that is the key thing as far as I'm concerned, is that I can go about just living life and just get caught up in living in that human existence. Okay. And that's when my ego will be at its loudest. When I take the time to really care enough about myself to nurture myself, whether that is with tapping, whether that is with breathing, whether that is with meditation, then I think that trust is something that actually expands when you really nourish yourself in that way. And I guess for me, you know, I met my second husband online, and he had moved in with us within 6 weeks, and we got engaged in 4 months, and we've been married happily, blissfully for 10 years. Like, when I have a knowing, it's a pretty strong knowing. And I guess on the flip side of that knowing, each time, I guess the thing that has come through is, this is what feels right, and I will work it out whichever way the cards fall.
That's cool.
Because I am a strong believer, and I am a strong believer because of my experiences, that there is a lesson in everything, and it doesn't matter how off, you know, I've killed, like, you know, I was 27 and the love of my life never came home. Do you know what I mean? And I had to pick up the pieces. I had an 8-month-old baby and a 3-year-old. The day that I woke up and had shifted through my healing enough to wake up and look at what I could be grateful for from such trauma. Now, I put myself through university to support my children. It gave me a completely different life perspective. And the day that I could wake up and be grateful for who I'd become because of how I'd chosen to live my life is the day that I knew that I was heading in the right direction. And that's the thing. If we can detach, like you were talking about, and be open to trusting that we have enough within ourselves to manage whichever way the cards fall, we're well on our way to living a life of ease and grace and flow and acceptance.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't
the
that
short
true?
answer. Sorry. I don't have short answers. Sorry.
That's beautiful. It's like I always love asking people these deep questions, because it allows me to learn, and it triggers things within me that I can look within myself. But I appreciate your insights and your impact and what you're doing. And a lot of people can reach out to you as well. And you're in the group and on the collaborative calls and things like that. So everyone can feel free to reach out to Andrea if you feel, if you just want to add her to your network and get to know her a bit better. But that's awesome. That's really, really cool. We need to finish up in a couple minutes, but is there anything else that you want to simply add?
Oh, me or somebody else coming in to talk? Sorry.
No, you.
I took no, what I really, really, really want to add, and I hope you can feel this from the bottom of my heart, Tyson, is that, like, I can totally understand that, okay, everybody else is connecting and this is, you know, this is all happening, but I understand that perspective of what do you get out of it and how the ego can do that. But I just want you to know so deeply what an amazing space you have created for people to connect, and that, you know, that energy and what is coming because of this is going to be massive, because, like, you deserve every bit of that energy flowing back to you. And yeah, like, I really am so very grateful to have found something that aligns so much with what my value system is. So yeah.
Thank you. Definitely. I definitely received that. It's a beautiful group because of the quality of people that are in it. And I'm very, very grateful for everyone on this call is basically taking upon themselves to invite other people and to feel in their network who is also aligned in this type of way. And people connect others with me all the time, and invite others to these sort of calls in the Facebook group and on the collaborative calls and the serving circle. So, yeah, I'm just grateful for everyone who's feeling how they want to contribute and doing that from their heart. It definitely means a lot. And so I get a lot out of it just by the inner peace of me just following my heart. And I just feel, you know, more and more deep levels of peace and love and kindness and gratitude every day, just because I'm following my path. What that leads to, I'm just completely separating from. But I'm so glad a lot of people are getting a lot from it. And you too, you've met a lot of really cool people. And each week I'll just continue to bring more and more people, and you guys will as well. So it's yeah, it's an absolute pleasure, and it won't be slowing down anytime soon, I don't think.
No.
Awesome. Well,
No.
thanks for jumping on. I really appreciate your insights. That was awesome.
Thank you.
No worries. Okay, guys, we are done at the hour. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for jumping on live. It's been very, very cool. For all of those who want to allow me and helping everyone in the group to expand these sort of calls and expand the group and share these sort of recordings, it's always appreciated. And if you just feel pulled to jump in more and more, I'm always happy to get on a call and serve how I can, and just let me know how it is I may help you and help you on your journey. And if there's anyone in my network who I can connect you with, then I'll do that as well. But this has been such a cool call. I just wanted to share what I was going through, what I'm focusing on. And if that helps you guys as a byproduct, then that's beautiful as well. But have a great rest of your week. Take some time to breathe into a lot of this. Take some time to allow it to sink in and start taking action from those emotions that you want to feel more often. I think it will be very, very expansive, can be very, very scary, but it'll also be, you just on your path towards how you're meant to serve at different levels. So thank you so much, everyone. Always a pleasure to be here. I'll see you guys next week, same day, same time. If you want to learn more about the collaborative calls or the group or anything like that, just reach out and ask, and I'm more than happy to guide you through it. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.